Our guest is Dr. Lucy Hornstein, who and we'll get to her book and her blog, but this has been a fascinating discussion, a little bit about family medicine because I talk to very little family medicine doctors outside of my little scope here, so this has been a fascinating discussion. Um, Author of the book
Let's move
Declarations
on.
of a Dinosaur: 10 Laws I've Learned as a Family Doctor, and also the blog Musings of a Dinosaur, and you can get there by going to dinosaurmusings.blogspot.com. And yeah, let's kind of shift gears here to the blog there. So have you always been a writer, and how did you find blogs? Do you remember the first blogs that you started reading before jumping into things?
Yeah, actually, what happened, very specifically, what happened was about 6 years ago when the finances started getting shaky. I swear, this was my actual thought process. I said to myself, I know, I'll write a blockbuster best-selling novel, make $1 million, and then I can keep doing what I'm doing and not worry about the money. So, yeah,
Okay.
right. So I came up with an idea for a novel, a blockbuster best-selling novel, and which, just as a spoiler alert, I fully intend to write, and it's actually half done now. But it was a process. So came up with an idea, wrote 3 chapters that I don't think I've ever read something that sucks quite as badly
Wow.
as those 3 chapters. But then a patient came in, and I told her about this, and she told me that she's been writing for a while, and she told me about an online writers community that she was part of that was starting up a 2-year course on writing a novel. And once a week, there was a lesson to read on this group, and exercises to do. And all you had to bring was this seed of an idea. And so each week for the first year, they started out, talking about characters and how to build them, and plotting, and how to create a plot, and world building. And each week there was an exercise for working on your own novel. And the second year was more individualized. There was still something to read every week, but writing the novel. And then it even went through how to query, which is sending letters to, finding out about literary agents and sending letters to agents, describing your book, and all the way up to having a novel published. So at the end of the first 2 years, I had finished my first novel, and it really, really sucked. It was awful. Although the actual problem with it, the way I put it, is there wasn't enough there. It didn't have quite enough plot. It had interesting characters and evocative writing, but not quite enough plot. There wasn't enough there.
Hmm.
So in the course of being on this writing community, they introduced me to this really crazy thing. I guess you could call it a game. It sounds like a contest, but it's not, because you're only competing with yourself. It's, and I'm not making this up. You're going to think I am, but I'm really not. It's called National Novel Writing Month.
Oh yeah,
And
NaNoWriMo. Yes, I know exactly what that
you know about
is.
NaNoWriMo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo.
So good old NaNoWriMo. So it was actually, you're probably familiar with the history, but it was actually started by a group of guys in San Francisco who thought they'd have better luck getting dates if they could say they were novelists.
I did not hear that before. That's interesting.
Yep. Chris Beatty. That was how they started. And the thing has grown exponentially. I mean, the people that participate every year. But the goal is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And the whole idea is quantity is better than quality. Um, it's understood that most of what you write is going to be pretty bad, but the real advantage to it is putting away what's called the inner editor. Like, you write a sentence and then you keep revising it over and over, and you never get to the rest of the book. So with NaNoWriMo, you don't have time to do that. So you shut off the inner editor and you just write, and tons of crap comes out, but some interestingly good stuff comes out too. So actually for 3 years in a row, I did NaNoWriMo. So in the course of all of this, I'm trying to remember when. I guess it was so I got into the chat rooms and the whole NaNoWriMo community and stuff. And somewhere along the line, online writing and stuff, I found blogs, found some medical blogs. Yours was one of the first ones I found.
Wow, sorry about that.
Dr. Charles, yeah, Dr. Charles was in his first incarnation. He has since
Oh
taken
yeah.
a break and he's recently come back too, which is fabulous. But at the time, it didn't seem like there were all that many of us, and I kind of figured, oh, cool, I can jump in with this. So I did, and I also kind of thought, oh, cool, this will be, once I have the novel out, this will be a place I can, something I can work with that. Now, the other thing I did from the very first post, not quite sure why I did it, but I started blogging completely gender neutral.
Yeah, what was
Every
the
time
thinking of that? That's something that is curious to me. Why was that
what was I
important to you?
thinking?
Yeah, why was that important to you?
Well, okay, actually, in part it was for fun, but the other thing is, okay, through all this, remember there's assorted other novels. Now, there was a blogger who is no longer blogging, who I won't mention the name because he probably doesn't want me to, but suffice it to say, he's the one that introduced me to the whole world of the anti-vaccine people.
Nice.
By that whole scene. So that became the idea for the novel that I'm now working on that really will be the blockbuster bestseller. But the point of the novel is there's a twist to it at the end. So as I'm writing, I have to be able, as you're reading it, you have to draw conclusions. You have to make assumptions as you're reading it that turn out to be wrong. Think about the movie The Sixth Sense.
Yes.
So, point is, I have to be able to write ambiguously. I have to be able to write in a way that you'll read it and assume I'm saying one thing, but I haven't. When you go back and find out I mean something completely different, you have to be able to go back and say, "Oh yeah, it never really said that."
Okay.
So, in that sense, writing gender neutral became kind of practice and a game. And I got a tremendous kick out of people assuming I was a guy. Although if you stop to think about it, no man would bother trying to be gender neutral. That would only be a woman trying not to, present as a woman. But
I don't know.
whatever.
I've read a lot of stuff out there, but I do admit that I thought you were male when I was reading your stuff. I fell into that, so I was guilty of that assumption as well.
Well, at any rate, that was I did that for fun, because yes, I was anonymous. I was never going to get in trouble for being anonymous because I knew I really wasn't. For instance, my family read the blog from the very beginning. My kids read the blog from the beginning. So, they know who I was, and I was never going to say anything that was going to embarrass anyone, well, except my father, who's embarrassed by some of my four-letter verbiage. But it was, and people, I was very open too. If anyone emailed me if anyone emailed me and started talking to me as if I was a guy, I would actually immediately email back and say, by the way, I am a woman, and all of that. But my standard line was, I hope you'll agree that keeping that secret is more fun than spilling it.
Oh no, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So
I was there too.